We have 4 little girls, and in July of 2021, my niece was having a birthday party in the middle of the week at my brother's house. We had just stopped by and had cake and were swimming in the pool. And when I told the girls that it was time to leave, they were like, no, we want to stay and swim. My mom said, it's okay, I'm going to stay here and they can stay and swim. And when we were walking out the door to leave, I looked at Tyler and I said, Mills has her puddle jumper, right? You were like, let me go make sure. So he walked back in the house and he set it down and looked at my mom and said, here's Mills's puddle jumper. So I sat in the driveway. I put Jovi, the baby, in the car seat. I was driving on 380 and my dad called me. He said, Mills has drowned. You need to get back. And I just remember screaming like, what? And I just started praying in tongues because that's all. I did not have any words to say. I remember I pulled up in the driveway and my sister was holding Mills. Her lips were purple, but she was breathing.
When I got there, Michelle was just wailing uncontrollably, and Mills was just limp, laying on her.
I took her and I ran out in the front yard, and I saw the ambulance drive past the house, and I started chasing them down the street, holding her. I remember them telling me, like, you have to stop. Like, you have to stop screaming.
They almost wouldn't let her go in the ambulance because she was just like, we need to drive, we need to go right now.
I got okay enough to get in the ambulance with her, and Tyler got in the car to follow us to the hospital. I just remember being in the ambulance and she was just laying there and I had nothing to say. I just held her hand while they were trying to put an IV in her tiny little veins. I just started singing the goodness of God, and I just knew that that was all that was inside of me.
By the time we got to the hospital, I beat them to the front door, and they opened the ambulance doors, and Mills, this big smile on her face, said, hi, Daddy. It just broke down. It was crazy that she was fine.
But they told us we needed to go to the children's hospital because they could watch her better. I remember they had to do x-rays on her and stuff, and they said, okay, we're just going to take a picture of you, and she goes, jeez. They told us that she had absolutely no fluid in her lungs, that she actually was drinking the water when she drowned, which saved her life, ultimately.
She was found laying flat on the bottom of the pool, probably 4 or 5 minutes. There's no fluid in her lungs. It's just an absolute miracle.
My sister-in-law, who was the one who did CPR on her, said it took about 40 chest compressions before she felt her heart beating again. On the way back, we decided to listen to a podcast, and they were talking about Jesus walking in the streets. Mills goes, Jesus, I know him. And I was like, I'm so glad, baby, I know you do. And she said, yep, I went to him's house when I drowned. I had never let myself think that she was like dead because it was too traumatizing.
I asked her actually yesterday what she remembers the most. She's like, I remember sitting at his table eating my favorite foods.
I think the biggest thing that I learned in parenting, it's really hard to not be anxious and to not be fearful for your children. My children are not mine. I've given my children to the Lord. I trust him with their lives over myself, and I know that he will protect them. And if anything ever happened to my children, as painful as it would be, I know that God's still good, and I know that they're okay.